So we've been in Charlotte all week long. It's incredible. The whole industry has really been super supportive for NASCAR 25, and we've had 8 or 9 drivers trying the game, and you know, to us it's just another step in the process of making a great game, right? You want to get their feedback, you want to implement some of the things that they give you pointers on. So enjoy some of the clips of these guys playing the game and just kind of what we went through this week. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We just got done playing NASCAR 25. I would say it's probably the most realistic Xbox PS5 game that I've played. I grew up playing all the old games through my childhood, and it was pretty awesome to be able to kind of get on again, and I'm looking forward to when it comes out.
I mean, the physics, I used to play a lot of games, and NASCAR games, and the physics on this game is above and beyond all of them. So initial thoughts are really good.
I was blown away by how realistic the game was, and just going through the couple tracks that I ran, like seeing how true the repave was at Iowa, and the new asphalt lines up with what we have in real life. The grip levels were accurate, impressive.
It's really cool, like seeing myself in a video game. That means a lot for me, because like I never imagined like saw me in a video game, and it made me feel like the first time when I jumped in a car, it was the same feeling.
Well, the first time I see myself was, I mean, you dream about those moments, right? I mean, growing up and playing video games, like I said, 2K or anybody, and playing as LeBron James or doing something, right? You want to take your my player to the top of the, and have the overall, the 99 overall, you know? So now I get to do that for myself. I'm gonna be on that game 24/7.
For the first time ever, there's a whole new level of authenticity to the NASCAR game with the actual track scans and the car physics, which is going to bring fans closer to the sport.
You can definitely tell that iRacing had a significant impact on this game, from the driving characteristics to the audio, the visuals. You can tell the footprint that iRacing had on this platform, and it's a great thing because it just shows how next level video games can be.
iRacing is huge, so just the opportunity for it to go to a game console was also just a great opportunity for people that love racing or just trying to do it for fun and maybe trying to get into it.
I think the first game that I probably played was NASCAR 05. Got that game, actually had it on PSP at the time, and then played it on console as well, so that's really how I got started, and my friends said that I took the game way too seriously.
As a kid growing up, I was a big time NASCAR video gamer and would love getting to explore all the different tracks and see what they're about, and going to Pocono and realizing it's a triangle, and how Loudon, New Hampshire is really flat, and just seeing all the variety of different racetracks.
This game, from the driver's perspective, is what it needs to be. I mean, myself, in my own career, there's just that energy level when you walk into the racetrack and you hear the engines and practice starts. There's just that feel that you get when you get in your race suit, you hop in the truck.
I mean, I'll never forget it. My first ever time at Daytona, when I rolled into the garage and they put my car on 4 jack stands, and they raise up the hood, and all you hear is the guns going on the tires, the guys working on the car, the spotter crew chief talking. Like, it took me away because it felt like I've been in that situation before, and it actually was like I'm actually living this moment that I played in the game a million of times. So now to be in this game even more elevated, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's definitely huge.
I can't thank these drivers enough. This week has been super special for all of us to come down here and shoot this content and get their feedback. We've had a long relationship with a lot of these guys, and I'm so excited. Even ones we've just met this trip. The passion that they have and the excitement that they have to get this game out and in the market is super exciting. In case you haven't heard, October 14th, that's our launch date. So we're going to open pre-orders, and we're going to get you that gameplay trailer that you guys are all begging for about a month before. So stay tuned. We got a lot more information coming on the game for NASCAR 25.
Visit NASCAR25.com for more information on the game, and make sure you follow us on social media at NASCAR25Game.
is iRacing.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of what will be the best week of off-road racing in iRacing this year. Welcome to the Crandon Championship. My name is Keenan Kuzin, and we're beginning our week at the mecca of short course racing in North America. Welcome to Crandon, Wisconsin, and one of the venues that is most important in the world of off-road racing. This is session number 1 of this week. We're going to be here all week in every session showing you all of the action this week to see who makes it in to that top split super session on Saturday morning and Saturday night. And even going into today, we already have over 40 drivers registered. There will be splits. There will be a lot of action. And last year, again, if you were here with us last year, we were beating, we were banging, and now we just get to show you even more racing action that we weren't even able to do before. So ladies and gentlemen, again, if this is your first time here, you've never watched Crandon Championship before, these are qualifying races that will be throughout the week. At the end of the week, we'll take the top 20 and put them into a top split. Everybody's still going to get to run in a split, but our top 20 will race on the end of the week. So these races still very important. You still want to do as best as you can throughout the week to make sure that you have your best opportunity to be able to be in a high split as you can at the end of the week. This is just, again, this is the only real dirt road event on the schedule, but we still have lots up left to the end of the year. We're coming to the end of our summer swing now. Just finished Portimao last week. Still have Indy 6 Hour, Bristol, and Bathurst coming up in September. Bathurst is a big, big race for all of our friends down under. Petit Le Mans and the MX 500 in Martinsville. That was a blast and a half last year. And then new to the schedule, the FF 1600 Festival, Suzuka 1000, SCCA Runoff. Still tons left, especially and for our dirt friends. The Chili Bowl will be in December. So if you want to get back on the dirt, there is another chance to do that in the end of the year. Joining me in the booth this week will be our very own Joshua Lee. Josh, first time here for Crandon. You were saying the first time you've been able to watch Crandon in quite a long time. What are you looking forward to this week?
I'm just looking forward to getting back to off-road racing. I mean, we've had the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series for a number of years, and since that series unfortunately took a little bit of a break a couple of years ago, we've really just had the Crandon Championship as this special event to get these dirt road drivers on the top step of iRacing on the iRacing Esports Network. And it's going to be a week full of racing. Today, tonight, tomorrow night, Friday night, and then Saturday super sessions. It is nothing but dirt road racing this week, except for one little break for Skip Barber. But other than that, nothing but Crandon, nothing but dirt road, and nothing but beating and banging on this world-class racetrack.
And to your point as well, the people who have been getting ready for this week, especially last night's winner who won the race last night, Dane Culver, your champion from 2024, have been putting in the work. They're very well aware that this is the top level of dirt road racing in iRacing at this point. So the amount of effort and time and practice and preparation that's gone in, and to your point, we're going to be racing all week, Joshua. We raced last night, Tuesday, Dane Culver getting the win in top split there, and he's trying to be able to make go back-to-back and be a 2-time winner here in the Crandon Championship, but we're just getting started. So if you're having fun, you're going to enjoy this race. We're going to be back at 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight, and then we're going to do it all over again Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday are the big ones. Our Super Session number 1, 11 Eastern time, and Super Session number 2 at 9 p.m. Eastern Saturday night. If you've never watched any of the Crandon Championship before, here's kind of how it works. So it's open to anybody who's got Dirt Road D-Class and above. If you're watching this, and again, you want to qualify, you still got all week, tons of time, 2 time slots per day, and drivers compete to earn points during the week. And then your Super Sessions, that's where all the hardware gets handed out. Well, the hardware is in a nice printout from iRacing. But anyway, 2 time slots are available, a same session format as the week, so we have our heat and our feature, and the drivers will be determined by weekly points rather than I-rating. So you can have somebody with very low I-rating that just does well during the week, Josh, that gets themselves into those super sessions. That's what makes these super sessions so much fun to watch throughout the week.
And it makes them so much different. Not every special event has the super sessions, and looking back at last year's super sessions, and it was calamity into, not necessarily calamity corner, but turn number 1 off the land rush start. A lot of 3 wide, a lot of 4 wide, of body panels flying everywhere. And this race, Keenan, the super session from last year, just showed some of the best of off-road racing. Yes, it's fast. Yes, it's frenetic, but it's also a little bit chaotic, and I think that's exactly what we want to see and what these drivers want to give all week long.
It's elbows out racing, non-stop action, as there's your 3 from the morning split. Dane Culver, again, got that win last night. He also won your split in Super Session number 2. Quentin Delolmo is a name that we're going to be looking for this week. The Frenchman has been on fire on dirt and has only been getting better in the truck. Nicolas Dachelet as well was your morning winner from Super Session number 1. If you remember from last year, those two, I don't know if they squashed the beef, but weren't really big fans of each other last year, beating and banging, especially coming to the line, which only brought Quentin Delolmo into the mix. And again, swapping up positions, this is some of the most exciting racing you can watch on iRacing. These drivers are very familiar with each other. They run in leagues, they run in officials with each other all the time. They know how to push, they know how to shove, they know how to throw doors and keep all 4 wheels still on the racetrack. And look at this, this is why the reason they call it Calamity Corner. Dane Culver pulling that last-minute move, shades of Crystal King, and getting the championship win in 2024. Going to see if we can run it back in 2025.
And moving forward to our driver standing so far in this week, Dane Culver, you mentioned it, Keenan, winner last night, goes to the top of the board. Zachary Drapkin, who we're also very familiar with, one of the fastest drivers to not race in the World Championship, in second. And there is the 2-time GOAT, I'm going to go ahead and say it, the GOAT of iRacing off-road of all time, Connor Berry, in third. Didn't get the win last night. We're expecting to see Connor Berry more throughout the week, but he sits third. Winkler, Dachelet in P5, and down the rest of the list. These points are only going to grow. We're only going to talk about these more as the week goes on towards our super sessions later this week.
Yeah, and of course, a couple of other names there. Tanner Pettit, someone that we know from the dirt oval world. Not uncommon to see some people that we'll see in the sprint car and the late models trying to mix it up on the dirt with the Pro 4 truck. But again, these numbers will change. These will move around, but this is how your top 20 sits as we stand. Speaking a little bit of Crandon as a venue, again, if you're not familiar with short course racing, this is the mecca of short course racing in North America. Think Daytona for NASCAR. This is where all the big events are held. Speaking of which, we'll have one in about a week or 2 weeks' time over in Labor Day weekend in Crandon, Wisconsin. There is 10 turns, and all of which have the opportunity for Calamity, specifically also Calamity Corner Turn 6 going into that start-finish. And Josh, something unique to this venue, especially in iRacing, 10 wide land rush start.
The land rush start is one of a kind. You can only find it at Crandon, and it is going to be as chaotic as possible going down into turn number 1. It's a brief right-hander before they go into a jump off the land rush. If that highlight reel that we just showed you didn't get you excited for the land rush start, just wait for our first sprint race here today. You're going to be a fan of the land rush start if you're not already.
If you're unfamiliar with these trucks as well, take a gander at the Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 4 truck. 4-wheel drive, up to 900 horsepower, 6-speed sequential transmission. You have no electronic aids, just your 2 feet and your 2 hands. These trucks are made to beat fenders. They will lose fenders. They're made to lose body parts, and they're basically touring cars on dirt, Josh.
I mean, where else can you lose body panels and you don't lose any time on the track? You lose a couple of pounds on the truck and might make it even run better than before. But these 4-wheel drive trucks, up to 900 horsepower, a 6-speed sequential transmission, no assists on this thing. It is nothing but driver versus the truck versus the track. And oh, by the way, you are going to see a bit of flying debris off the back of these trucks, whether it's dirt or body panels.
Yeah, it's even common with real life. It's very rare that you see one of these trucks look that clean by the end of a race, and I guarantee you they're going to be throwing panels out there. Just so you're aware, this is how these events are going to break down for the whole week. Qualifying is 7 minutes or 3 laps. You'll be able to see the unique way of qualifying here, where you'll have a warm-up lap, basically, and then 3 flyers. So normally you'll see a car go, tow, and then come back out. You have your first heat rates, which will decide the order for the feature. The feature is where the big points are paid out, no yellow flags, nothing like that. We are green and then checkered, and all races, again, will use that 10 wide land rush start. So qualifying here, a lot of people say qualifying Crandon's not important, but if you're in that middle lane, or especially even if you're uncomfortable being on the right side of the track, there's many different things you can do in terms of your qualifying position. So a lot of people, again, say the qualifying here is not important. I really think that depends on your perspective. Because if you start in the middle, if you're in the blender going into turn 1, Potawatomi Bend, I believe you disagree.
I think, Keenan, if I'm confident in my start, I at least want to start on that front row, because starting in the second row behind the 11th on back, you're just going to be at a disadvantage going into the first turn. But if you're 10 wide, I don't really care if I'm to the left, to the right, smack dab in the middle. I'm going to try and get the best start I can, go over those whoops, and hopefully be in the lead and out of the calamity by turn 1. It always sounds like a bit better idea than it actually ends up being.
Yeah, and to your point, too, that land rush start is not flat. There are a couple lanes with some really nasty jumps that even with four-wheel drive and the weight of these trucks to be able to absorb those bumps, it's borderline impossible to not get at least a little bit squirrely. And that's where usually we're going to keep using this word calamity comes from. Let's jump on to a qualifying lap from the number 1 truck here as it just starts their qualifying lap. So very important sector here to get right. Make sure you are driving on with Dennis Mickelson. Nice to see him out here in the number 1 truck. That he will be the top-rated driver of top split here, coming down into, again, Cowboy Corner. Bank corner here. This is where the lines are going to be different from traditional racing lines. Go in deep, you run up to the top of the banking, maybe a little bit wide there for Dennis, but then a straight shot down. Watching that suspension compress, you really want to focus on having the wheels pointed straight and being able to get as much acceleration out of the corner as possible. So I think Dennis is going to bail out of that lap again. You go over the line there, Josh, on Cowboy Corner. It's flat up on top, and that can we'll see it in the race, especially as the tires start to go off and the track starts to wear in, which is something we haven't talked about yet. That they will go wide, they'll go up onto that flat portion, and that's basically game over. You lose a ton of time there.
We also talk a lot in asphalt racing, asphalt oval, asphalt road, about rhythm. And you get into a rhythm trying to run basically the same lap time over the course of a run. Of course, you're going to have tire fall off. You're going to have everything going your way. But trying to run the exact same lap over the course of a run before you put fresh tires on. It is even more difficult to do that in off-road. Imagine you're having to go over jumps. You're having to deal with the suspension travel, the suspension going down towards the ground when you're going over a jump. It is very difficult to do the same lap over and over and over again with changing track conditions, with the dirt, changing physics in the truck. It is very difficult to do that over the course of a long run. These drivers are going to have to do that over the course of both our sprint and our feature race tonight. The drivers that do that the best are going to be the drivers to walk away with the wins.
And again, especially how this truck has progressed on the iRacing service. The tire wear is a definite factor now, and the track wear is a definite factor. Once that track starts to wear and that blue groove comes in, you're going to see it just like dirt oval racing, where people are looking around, looking for different lines. It's not going to change drastically, but you will have people moving a lane up, a lane down, and especially in our big 3 hairpins. Calamity Corner, running to the start finish, gravel pit, which we're going to see Dennis come down to in just a second as he goes through Ponzi turn 2. Big flick in the air. You want to land almost sideways to set you up. And here's another corner with a bunch of different lines. You'll see some people go wide on the right to get that momentum to go down into gravel pit. You'll see some people on the left to kind of shortcut and get less air as well. There's another difference between this and asphalt racing, Josh, is verticality. You'll have to take that into account. The more time you spend in the air, you're not really moving, but there's kind of nowhere to go. So you have to take those into account, and you have the extra advantage of being able to control the weight in the air as well. As Dennis Mickelson sets his first time, that's not going to be good enough for pole. Right now, it is Crystal King as we ride along with the Australian Zach Blanche from Team Watson Racing Setups. Nice to see him out here. And again, these are the morning sessions. We're going to see a lot of people from the European region, from Australian region, and then at night we'll see a little bit more of our familiar names from the North American side of things.
This gives everybody an opportunity to try and make that super session, get those points throughout the course of the week. Evan McFarland just hopped up into P2. Crystal King, the only woman to ever compete in an iRacing World Championship, did it in the Off-Road World Championship. She sits first right now at a 1:15.3. Zach Blanche across the line. Where does he go on the leaderboard? He is going to settle himself into nowhere. I believe he ended up with a 1x, 0x something on that lap. That first lap did not count. He is on to lap 2 with less than 3 minutes remaining in the clock.
Now that we are getting into the nitty-gritty of qualifying here, ladies and gentlemen, we got a little bit of a treat for you here. Unfortunately, he was not able to break into the echelons of top split, but Dirt Road, our good Dirt Road friend Chris Leone is in the office with us this afternoon and will be partaking in all of the morning splits. Chris didn't quite make top split, but you still got a lot of competition. He's got to hit his mute button. There he goes.
Hi, you got me?
Do we? Yeah, we have Chris in the office. Chris.
Howdy. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a heater right now. Just sliding through one of the hairpins, passing the Steelage starting line, and yeah, unfortunately, when we got into 3 splits, I just fell out of the very bottom of top split, which I guess is okay with me from an iRating perspective, because I would have gotten my butt whooped by some of the names I saw in there. Good Lord, I'm like 2 seconds down on most of those people, but just having a blast in here in the Pro 4. Picked up quite a bit, not only by watching everybody else as they've been driving in the sim all week long, but just being on the equipment here in the iRacing office. This is the best sim rig I've ever been in, and literally yesterday while we were setting up with Cisco and Justin, I dropped a second on my career best on this track. So coming to the line here, just trying not to hit anything across, and I'm not gonna have a best here, but think we might have fallen out of the top half in qualifying because I took some damage on my warm-up lap, landing a little bit sideways. But hey, them's the breaks. Like you said, it's tough to not be in that preferred lane coming out of turn 1. But you just got to survive turn 1. I mean, we've seen that so many different times in real Crandon, in virtual Crandon. It's a chess match. It just happens to be a chess match in giant 900 horsepower flying off-road trucks.
As somebody who's so involved with the dirt road community, if you've done any sort of leagues or anything, you know who Chris Leone is. What does this event mean to the community as the pinnacle of their year?
Oh, it's definitely special to the entire community, and shout out to everybody who has been so supportive of iRacing's dirt road efforts from the very beginning. I mean, I was involved back in the day from the Global Rallycross side when we first signed the GRC deal in late 2017, and then being involved with the truck side of things. I mean, it's special, and a lot of these drivers, when we had a Pro World Championship, they were involved in it, and even the ones who haven't been have just been such mainstays in all the big leagues, all the big events, and certainly competing in some of my stuff in Yes 2 over the years. So, it is a smaller community within the iRacing sphere, but it is so tight-knit, and these racers are so good. Everybody is so fast, and most importantly, everybody is so helpful to one another in getting better. So if you want to ever try this stuff and you find a league, people are going to help you get up to speed. People are really going to be devoted to making you the best off-road racer that you can be on the sim.
Really couldn't have put it better myself. Best of luck, Chris. We'll check it with you at the end of the event.
Thank you.
iRacing's Chris Leone there. He'll be in second split. Again, no matter where you are in the splits, you still have points to earn, points to gain, and it'll all shake up towards the super sessions at the end of the week. Here's your qualifying results. Evan McFarland to the top of the board, the Rallycross driver. Been spending a lot of time in the Pro 4. He gets top spot. Crystal King, who was dominant in all the qualifying sessions last year, is returning to be at the top of the board in second. Tyler Shattuck going to be in third place representing T-Gold Esports. Right behind him, Brody Duscher, somebody who we're really familiar with in the Dirt Oval world as well. Dennis Mickelson and Sean Smith, Zach Blanche, Joel Ulrich, Brandon Barnhart, and Ryan Surelik are going to round out your top 10. And then the last 4 trucks on the board, Christian Noble, again, maybe not getting the lap he was looking for. Really handy driver, just unfortunately not making the best of it. Ryan Mayer, Miles Morse, really skilled 2-wheel drive driver, are going to round out your top 14. Josh, we only got 14, but here we go. Land Rush start, the most exciting start in iRacing. Green flag on the beginning of our coverage for iRacing Crandon Championship this week.
This is where it gets the most exciting down into turn number 1. Who's going to get the best out of the land rush? They're beating and banging towards the back of the pack. But up front, we're almost 4 wide for the race lead. Now we're 3 wide for the lead. Evan McFarland trying to go around the outside. Crystal King up the middle with Brody Ducher down low.
They're still 3 wide. This is not going to be settled for a long time yet. Trucks still beating and banging into gravel pit. We haven't even made it to the start-finish line yet as they start to file out again. This is just a heat race. This is only going to determine the starting order for the feature, but nobody's told these drivers that as they're beating and banging towards the back of the field.
How badly do you want to start up front in the feature? We do not go on to lap 2. We continue lap number 1 across the start-finish line. Evan McFarland trying to pull away to the lead. Ducher, Mickelson in 3rd. Crystal King, Joel Ulrich rounding out the top 5. Here's your battle for 5th. Tyler Shattuck up the middle trying to get the spot away.
Again, we said it a little bit in the pre-race. They are going to lean on each other. A lot of these drivers very skilled. They've raced with each other on leagues, on officials. They know what they're doing. They know how to throw a little bit of a hip check, a little bit of a shoulder check, as there's a little bit more than that in the background. We're 3 and 4 wide coming into Cowboy Hairpin, but Evan McFarland getting the best of his start, and he has checked out, Josh.
I want to say that was Ryan Surlick that went into Cowboy and trying to send a slider in there and ended up just kind of going straight, hit the trucks to his outside, straightened himself out, middle of 5 wide, and then kept on going, currently in P9. But McFarland in the lead to the tune of 6/10 right now. Battle starting to develop for P2, but right now, everybody's starting to get into that rhythm that I was talking about earlier, trying to figure out how to move up a couple places. As we're on board with Christian Noble, and hello, Sean Smith around the outside to P11.
Driver expected to move up a little bit. It was Christian Noble, really talented driver. Again, just maybe not getting the qualifying lap he was looking for. And another thing too now is, do you start throwing elbows and throwing punches at people? You're going to be racing all week. People in dirt road, you know, Chris did a really good job of hyping up the community, but trust me, there's still a lot of people who are very, very passionate about racing who do not forget when you've done them wrong. You want to start making enemies on Wednesday when you still have to make it to Saturday.
You want to talk about competitiveness? I think the dirt road license class, whether it's rallycross or off-road racing, is some of the most competitive iRacers that you are going to ever witness in a race. They can race very, very clean. You might see the hip checks, you might see the contact made, you might see everybody trying to knock people out of the way. Trust me, it is all mutually agreed that that is how these trucks race. There's a difference between moving a guy, Keenan, and wrecking a guy, Keenan. I don't think we're not going to see anybody wrecking anybody this week, but we're going to see a lot of moving people out of the way. There's a distinct difference between that and wrecking somebody on this track.
All is fair in love and short course, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it is just Josh couldn't have put it any better. It's mutually assured that you're going to be getting into each other as we jump out of this battle for 6th place. Again, this is just a qualifying race, but this moves you from the left side of that land rush start where you are going to get funneled into the outside wall of Potawatomi Bend to maybe somewhere more towards the middle, more towards the right. We have a little bit more control over your own destiny. So we still have our feature races where all those points are going to get paid out. But another thing you get to do here is feel out your competition. Again, we're going to keep talking about it, especially today, that we have all week that we're going to be running 2 races a day. And a lot of these drivers are going to be running into each other again and again and again, if they haven't already, in various leagues and other forms of competition. So how do you feel out who's going to throw sliders, who's going to throw big moves, just like Sean Smith getting to the bottom of Cowboy Corner. But because that corner's banked to the top, it really doesn't work out for him. He's not going to have the run out of the corner as the number 6 machine holds it to the inside.
We talked earlier about the kind of anatomy of these trucks and seeing them with 4-wheel drive. It might seem like a no-brainer. Take 4-wheel drive onto the dirt. It's going to race really well, have a ton of grip. Keenan, me and you as drivers of these Pro 4 trucks can say it is all but gripped up. You're going to have a lot of wheel spin with 900 horses trying to push all of the power down onto these 4 wheels. Grip is at a premium. You need to try to limit the wheel spin in and out of these corners to get yourself good lap time to pass trucks. If you're just trying to drift these corners, spin all 4 wheels, Keenan, you're just going to do nothing but burn time.
Yeah, and something too, burned tires. The sidewall of these tires do start to fall off a little bit throughout the course of a race. You'll see drivers having to back up their entries. Again, very similar to what you'll see on the oval side when it comes to dirt. We are still ripping fenders off left and right here all across the board. We rode on that battle behind us. They are side by side going to the Cowboy corner, but we jump on here where there's another punt going into the Cowboy. That's usually you want to see bumps coming to the door, and obviously, and again, we're 3 wide back there. There's a truck into the wall. Guys, it's the heat race. Let's relax a little bit.
Renato Grillo was the one into the wall in Cowboy that last time by Ryan Mayer. Sean Smith side by side, back of that camera shot. We're focused on Ryan Surlick, who coming out of turn 9 a lap ago, just covered off that spot really well in a slide job on, I believe it was Joel Ulrich. Ulrich able to get that spot back. Now Miles Morris, Christian Noble side by side. Here comes a slider from Ryan Mayer trying to get by Sean Smith out of turn number 4 in the gravel pit.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing here now is those top trucks have just kind of settled. They're like, hey, we got a good qualifying position. We know the points are paying out in the next race. We've got nothing really to fight for. All these drivers at the back are trying to fight to get into that top 10 to be on that front row. Miles Morris right now is the keeper of the front row. He'll be on the left side, still not super advantageous, but these 3 behind him need to get to the front. If you're the 13 of Ryan Mayer, you go, I want to get in front of these 2 trucks so I can try to challenge Miles before he runs away and gets to the back of Ryan Surlick in 9th place.
Back into Cowboy. We're watching this battle for P12. Mayer trying to go low, trying to get that grip, and that is exactly what we talked about in qualifying, Keenan. The outside of Cowboy, much flatter, able to get a better run. Mayer tried to go to the inside, just trying to try something different. You got to run where they're not to make the passes work, and he ended up burning about a half second on that turn just by going down low, having more wheel spin from all 4 tires, and lost a bit of time now to the back bumper of the 11 of Sean Smith. But through the gravel pit, still watching these midfield battles, these end of the pack battles. McFarland 1.5 seconds right now in the lead as they take the white flag.
Again, this really important for this feature race. This could make or break a good start. Miles Morris, the keeper of that first row right now as we head on to our white flag lap of our first heat of the week here on the broadcast for Crandon Championship. Miles Morris trying to hold back Christian Noble, who's been trying to throw everything and the kitchen sink at him to get by. Very, very difficult to pass here at Crandon. All you can really do is try to hope for a mistake of the lead truck, throw a door at him, or try to set something up, but it takes laps and laps and laps to try to figure all of that out, especially with the track wearing in. As we jump on board now, that is Evan McFarland, your leader, as the battle for second between Crystal King and Brody Duscher heating up a little bit. Again, Crystal in that 3rd position. She was to the top of the leaderboard basically all last year throughout the entire week of qualifying races. She's trying to go back-to-back and be able to make that top split of the Super Session Saturday. She's going to have to get past Brody Duscher to be able to get 2nd place, a better starting position for the feature. She's been able to make a move in Calamity Corner before in case she get it done, but in an uneventful race for Mr. Evan McFarland. Checked in, checked out. That is P1 for the KS Indices driver, and Crystal King cannot get it done. She's going to have to settle for 3rd, Josh.
Settling for 3rd, but still a great starting spot for our feature race. To the inside goes Sean Smith on Miles Morris, trying to get the slider, but at the line, it was not enough. Miles Morris ends up P10. Sean Smith is going to have to go to the 2nd row of the Land Rush start, P11, as everybody gets across the line. All 14 trucks, Keenan, do cross the line under their own power.
Yeah, again, that's something, too. If you get a flip, that's going to be a trip to the pits for you. And when we said no yellows, no nothing. So that's just going to be the end of your race. But luckily, everybody finishing, every McFarland making the field. Sit behind him as the KS Industry driver has got 2.6 seconds over Brody Duscher and Crystal King, who had a little bit of a tussle towards the end. I think you'll see that develop in the feature. Dennis Mickelson and Tyler Shattuck rounding out your top 5 with Zach Blanche, Brandon Barnhart, and Joel Ulrich kind of all having a quiet race in the midfield as Ryan Surlick and Miles Morris round out your top 10. As we get ready for the feature now, again, these will be your starting positions: Sean Smith, Christopher Noble, Ryan Mayer, and Renato Grillo. Unfortunately, saw go wide in Cowboy Corner, caught that damage, was not able to be a factor in that race. He'll get another shot here as we move into the feature race. This is where you're going to be scoring your points to try and make it into that super session. Again, just in case we didn't say it before, it doesn't matter if you make top split or not. It doesn't matter if you don't even race this week. You can still participate in those super sessions on Saturday. That's where all the hardware is getting handed out. That's where we'll crown our champion in the morning and our champion in the evening. Nicholas Dashley and Dane Culver will be back to try and fight for their crowns once again. And again, you don't even need to be super high in the license. You just need to be D4.0 or over. There's 2 opportunities a day to race, and you'll be gaining points throughout the week, and then super sessions on Saturday.
And looking forward to the rest of this week, Keenan. We have a lot of racing still to go and a lot of points still to give. But here's what we saw in that sprint race. It was a relatively clean land rush start. I don't know what I was expecting for 14 trucks, but I was not expecting that to be very, very clean. And as they continued to race on through this sprint race, it was Evan McFarland that got out to an early lead, started to pull away. It was battles for second, third, fourth, back to fifth, and then this mid-pack battles that we saw. A lot of drivers trying to get their way up through the field, and a lot of drivers trying to see what they had, trying to see what these other drivers were capable of, and we saw a lot of moves try and be made, but I think we saw Crandon beat Crandon, and some of the best starting to rise to the top in this sprint.
I think you're going to see, too, a lot of those drivers in that top 8, top 7 area are not going to play as nice, especially with the speed that Evan McFarland had. I would be very surprised if he does not go unchallenged, at least in the first lap. The sooner you can get a move done, the sooner you can put him back into the blender that is the midfield at Crandon, the better of a chance you having taking away the victory as we move on into our feature race. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where all these points will be getting paid out, and we'll set you up with a chance to be able to make it into that top split at the end of the week. If you're watching this and you want to join us for the week here in Crandon, go to iRacing.com to figure out how you could start your iRacing career today. Dirt, asphalt, and everything in between. Go to iRacing.com and start your sim racing career today. And we await the green flag of our feature race, our first one of the week, as we will be back tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. We are covering all the action here for you at Crandon as we take a look at our starting grid for our feature race. Again, the results of your heat race, same as the first. At McFarland, we're going to be starting from pole. He started from pole in your heat race. He'll be starting from pole in your feature. Brody Duscher, Crystal King, Dennis Mickelson, Tyler Shattuck, Zach Blanche, Brandon Barnhart, Joel Orwich, Ryan Serlich, and Miles Morris are on your first row. Very important first row here at Crandon.
That second row, Keenan, is also going to be very important. How can these drivers get through that first row in the first turn of the land rush start? Sean Smith, Christian Noble, Ryan Mayer, Renato Grillo in the back, but can they make their way up to the front off of the land rush start? This could be a big jump for those 4 drivers if they're able to get by this opening row, which is much like a wall heading into turn number 1.
14 900 horsepower beasts ready to pounce. Ladies and gentlemen, our first broadcasted feature of the week. We are waiting for the green flag from Barney here at Crandon, Wisconsin, and green flag as we start our first feature here for the Crandon Championship.
Down into turn 1, the inside of that first lane is going to get the best as McFarland goes to the inside, trying to push Brody Duscher off the track. Here comes Dennis Mickelson as well on the outside, and we've got contact. The 5 into the wall. Duscher, Mickelson slam the wall off the first corner. Another truck into the wall off the Ponzi turn. Crystal King gets away with the lead. Brody Duscher to the inside.
Again, this start is so important. The sooner they can put Evan back there in the blender, the sooner we can have the incidents. And we said it a little bit in between the break that we are going to have drivers that didn't have an exciting first race that'll have an exciting second one. And unfortunately, Brody Duscher and Dennis Mickelson will be the first casualties of this feature race, as that is not settled as we take our start of our first lap.
That is going to hurt them in the points heading into the super session for this week, but Crystal King walks away with the lead. This is the first female to ever compete in an iRacing World Championship, and she earned that spot, and she has earned the lead here in the feature, trying to keep Evan McFarland at bay as we battle in the mid-pack. Serlich, Ulrich in a battle, Zach Blanche, Miles Morris, and put these trucks under a blanket as they go into Cowboy. Here's the battle for the race lead.
Evan knows he's got to get something done and get something done quick. Crystal King is a driver that will adapt. She will find speed. She will improve her position. She holds the inside in a Potawatomi bend. That is the preferred line, and she can't close off Evan McFarland. As she doesn't, they're still too wide as they're in the air, side by side, going into Ponce.
And Crystal King try and get a slide job done. There goes Evan McFarland to the race lead. What is she going to plan as they go into gravel pit and the flyway jump? Tyler Shattuck in the 3, watching from the 3rd spot as well. You're on board with him now, as here comes King to the inside. That's going to quickly swap over to the right side as they go through Calamity Corner. Is King going to try and set up a pass? McFarland trying to cover off the spot. King gets on the back bumper. Shattuck gets in there. King with the contact moves McFarland out of the lane.
McFarland actually caught a little bit of that inside wall, was just trying too hard to be defensive. And Josh, it would not be the first time, nor will it be the last, that we see 2 trucks battle for the lead and somebody in 3rd place swoop in to pick up the pieces as we follow this battle and our battle. Oh, good Lord, what is happening?
My goodness!
Battle for 5th with everybody, apparently.
That was Joel Ulrich that sent one into that group and ended up making contact with 4 trucks going into that corner. Into Cowboy, slide job from Dennis Mickelson. He made contact on lap number 1. He's back up to P6, now side by side with Sean Smith for 5th.
Yeah, incredible recovery from Mickelson, a very, very familiar driver. If you've raced an official race and had someone drive away from you, it probably was Dennis Mickelson. So I can't believe he's recovered this truck so well, as I think the battle for the lead is starting to settle. Crystal King keeping Evan McFarland honest, but here's the thing now. As Chris said a little bit in our pre-race, it's a chess game. Do you start throwing elbows now while we still have all these laps left to go, or do you try to save something for the end of the race? So keep an eye on those top 3 trucks. I doubt that battle is finished.
Remember, our earlier race was a sprint race. It was only 6 laps. Now this feature is 10. There's going to be more tire wear. The track's going to have more opportunity to start to wear in. This race for 5th has Sean Smith trying to get back by the number 1 truck that was wrecked on lap number 1. Brody Ducher, who he got into the incident with, is out of this race. But we race on now. Battles between Morse and Barnhart. This is back for P10.
Yeah, Miles Morse is a driver that's only been improving in the dirt road world. Again, just to talk about what Chris Leone said earlier, somebody who joined the community, has gotten the experience, and has been a part of this community for such a long time, and now is starting to prove dividends in this Pro 4 truck. Such a difficult truck to drive if you come from a different discipline as well in dirt road racing, when it's Rallycross, Pro 2, anything like that. He's adapting well. Again, I'm sure he's going to want to move forward, but he is now holding on to is hanging out in the 9th position, trying to keep all those other drivers behind.
Rallycross is a battle of 2 disciplines. It's a battle on the dirt, it's a battle on the asphalt. And the cars are really designed to kind of be somewhere in the middle. They're going to race okay on the asphalt, they're going to race okay in the dirt, and you have to depend how you're going to be able to race that car on both disciplines. These trucks are purpose-built for the dirt. But what they also are, Keenan, is overpowered. Imagine trying to take an old NASCAR stock car, maybe the Gen 4 car, trying to take it onto Sonoma, Watkins Glen, any kind of technical road course. The thing just has too much horsepower to get to the back wheels. It's the same thing here. So much horsepower trying to get to all 4 tires in these 4-wheel drive trucks. You're just going to end up spinning those tires if you're not careful, like we mentioned earlier.
And here we go, Dennis Mickelson trying to hold back Sean Smith. To your point, Josh, look at how smooth all these drivers are. Not a lot of jerky counter steer. You're not hearing a lot of RPM when they're blasting it into a corner. Nice and smooth, really, really thought out inputs. I think that's the biggest thing to take away here, is that everything has to be smart, really nice and smooth, early upshifts, keep the wheel spin down to a minimum. Somebody's trying to make their own track limits, as Dennis Mickelson is still trying to keep Sean Smith behind. Again, awesome recovery from Dennis, but Sean Smith wants to break into that top 5.
And I know it's very fun to go drifting into these corners. I'll be the first to admit that's exactly what I do when I go out for a practice lap. But if you want to run quick lap times, you need to limit the wheel spin, limit the amount of sliding, almost race it like you're racing on asphalt road. You're able to send those sliders in. You're able to run different lines, trying to make passes work. That's exactly what we're seeing from Sean Smith in P6. Can he get by the 1 truck? We're going to be halfway through next time by. He's got a lot of work to do. Why that number 1 truck is trying to make that truck as wide as the track right now, and it's working. He's going to make the 11 work for it as the battle for the lead is back on. Here comes Crystal King powering her way out of turn 9.
I really think you're going to see Crystal Wade. She's a very, very smart driver behind the wheel of that number 2 truck. She picks her points. She's really smart. She will throw the door at you, but she always picks a really good time to do it. Evan going a little bit wide there at Cowboy Corner. He's not going to have the best exit. That is just going to keep the number 2 on his tailgate. It's again that battle for 5th. And another thing too, Josh, is if you're Sean Smith, how hard do you fight Dennis? Because the more you do, the gap is open a little bit now, but Ulrich and Blanche are right there, salivating, licking their chops to try to break into that top 5, gain some extra points. As Sean Smith to the inside at the Ponzi bet, he's not going to get it done, but he might be able to hold it in the gravel pit.
He tried to get the crossover move done off of the jump, which is a very creative pass to try and make happen. But moving back, this is the race for 7th now to the inside of the 12. Zach Blanche in the 7 went for the spot. He gets it into Calamity Corner, moving back up to the battle for 5th. Nothing happens there as the 7 and 12 still go side by side across the line.
Same verse, similar to the first. How hard do you guys fight when you know an opportunity to top 5 is right in front of you? You still have, again, you have a split where Dennis Mickelson, who has more iRating than I know how to count to, right in front of you. So this is still going to pay off good points for the rest of the week. How hard do you guys fight knowing you have more to gain in front of you and you were all nose to tail only a couple laps earlier? I know Ulrich probably thinks he has something in the tank, but you have to be smart with where you pick these points.
Keenan, you mentioned the iRating of Dennis Mickelson there in the 1. By the way, 7,909, which is insane. Also for a Class C driver, dude, you're getting that many safety points that you're not able to get up to Class A. What are we doing here? Anyway, I digress. The iRating of everybody in this lobby, everybody is over 4,000. The strength of field heading into this race, Keenan, was over 5,000. If you thought you weren't going to see some of the best in iRacing off-road today, you thought wrong, as even in the morning session, we're over 5,000 in iRating, and Dennis Mickelson trying to run Sean Smith off the track.
Again, keep an eye on that battle for the lead as we get to the closing stage of the race, but the gloves are off in the battle for 5th. All 4 of those trucks are nose to tail once again. Dennis Mickelson still the keeper, but Sean Smith now has a mirror full of Zach Blanche he has to contend with. Zach has done a great job of catching those top 2 trucks ahead of him. He is now on the tailgate of that number 11 machine.
All on that tailgate and trying to now set up a pass. He's going to look to the inside. Does he get the momentum off the corner? No, he doesn't. Has to slide right back into line. Now, does he look for something into Cowboy? It's 4 laps to go. Our leaders exit Cowboy, go over the whoops into Cowboy Corner. Sean Smith actually wanted to make something happen on the 1 truck in front, and he did not. He got up to the door. Not enough momentum off of the exit of the corner. P5 stays with the 1.
It's really tricky to run a defensive line here too, Josh. If you go a little bit shallow into Cowboy to try to block off that passing opportunity, you lose so much momentum down the biggest straightaway of the course into 2 of the biggest jumps of the course too. And you see that paying off for Zach Blanche. Sean Smith still on the back of Dennis Mickelson, but Zach is right there, and Joel is sitting there scheming, hoping that these 3 start to throw some punches as Sean Smith to the inside of Dennis Mickelson. Can he clear him by the exit of the corner? No, we're going to be too wide in the Calamity Corner with about 3 laps to go.
Barely able to get that spot, but now there goes the shot, and up the inside, here comes the 7. Zach Blanche trying to get a 2-for-1 special like we saw Dane Culver do last year. He didn't get 2, but he got 1. Dennis Mickelson falls to 7th, Sean Smith to 5th, Zach Blanche now P6, and we've got a battle developing for P5 as you're on board with Sean Smith looking back at the 7 and 1.
We talked about it a little bit before the race. Look at the dents and dings on these trucks. They are not going to be going back in the trailer the same way they came off of them. And clearly, somebody did their homework from watching last year. Zach Blanche seeing the opportunity, going to the inside and going, you know what? I'll make some enemies. I'll throw some elbows out. I'll move some people out of the way. He's improved 2 spots. And Dennis Mickelson, who's been on the recovery drive of a lifetime, has got some work to do now sitting in P7.
That move from Zach Blanche, I mean, it was shades of what we saw Dane Culver do. Unfortunately, he just got a little bit too far up the groove and ended up making contact that ruined his momentum through Calamity. But speaking of Calamity, we're heading back into Calamity Corner now. 2 laps to go at the line. King looks high, swipes back down on Evan McFarland. She is right there, Keenan. I think it's exactly what you said. She's buying her time. But with 2 to go, if you keep buying time, you're not going to have any time to spend it.
Think of it like a buffer. We talked about it a bit yesterday with Steven Wilson having that buffer to make those moves, make those decisions. Now look at the gap that they have to P3. Crystal King's biggest advantage, not that she's slow. She's very fast, of course. She's number 2 truck here. She's very smart. She has really, really good racecraft, and you see that the more you watch her race. Evan McFarland goes a little bit wide into Cowboy corner. He's going to lose some time. Crystal King to move to the inside. She's not going to get the momentum off the corner, but she is filling the mirror of that KS Industries machine. How long can Evan McFarland put up with the pressure of arguably one of the best drivers in the dirt road discipline?
She also saw the opportunity unfold in front of her, tried to take opportunity of it, and unfortunately it was just a little bit too late heading into Cowboy. She was already set up for the normal line. She ended up trying to pitch down to the bottom of the racetrack. That burned off the momentum, burned off the speed. She stays P2, but it's white flag this time by Keenan. How badly does Crystal King want these points towards this Saturday's Super Sessions? She has to get by sprint race winner Evan McFarland to try and win the feature. Here's the white flag.
Welcome to the last minute of the third period, ladies and gentlemen. Crystal King has been waiting and filling Evan McFarland's mirror. He's been making some mistakes. He's been going a little bit deep in some corners, which has kept her right there. If it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen right here. She's going to go for a dive bomb here in the Cowboy corner or gravel pit. This will be one of your 2 passing opportunities. You already see Evan trying to cover it off the inside. Not much he could do if Crystal wants to go. She's going to take a look. Big send to the inside. The block pass. She gets it done. Crystal King to the lead, but can she keep it, Josh?
That is a classic off-road move. Dive into the corner, park it on the apex, not let the truck behind you get by. And Crystal King did that picture perfect. Now she's got to hold it. They're heading through Ponzi turn 2, through 3, through 4, through Calamity corner. They've still got a long way home, but Crystal King is trying to peace out.
Crystal King may have the racecraft, but Evan McFarland is one of the most aggressive drivers that I've ever watched. He's going to try to throw the door to Crystal King. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And the reason we call it Calamity Corner, he actually gets a great exit. He's going to clear Crystal. Does she try to make something happen on the inside here, or does she just take second place? Evan goes a bit deep. She's going to do it again. Can Crystal King win this race coming in line? Side by side. Evan McFarland by a fender.
That is inches. Are you kidding me? 14/100th of a second as we've got the 9 truck around in Calamity. Blanche is going to get P6, or P5, excuse me. Surlick ends up P6. My goodness, Calamity Corner just proved its name again.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you weren't here last year, welcome to Crandon, baby. This is just a taste of what you're going to get all week. We still have so much racing action, and that's just a preview of a qualifier race. Crystal King trying to get it done. Evan McFarland holding off what I would consider one of the veterans of the sport, and Tyler Shattuck rounding out your podium with a quiet race for himself here in P3. And then welcome to the bloodbath. Welcome to Sean Smith, Zach Blanche, Daniel Mickelson, Ryan Serlick, Ryan Mayer actually improving some spots, finishing P8 there. Brandon Barnhart and Miles Morse rounding out your top 10. And this is where we lose some of our drivers. Brody Duscher, obviously, in that lap 1 incident. We're not going to see, unfortunately, not seeing him in the positions. We'll see him, I'm sure, later on this week. Joel Ulrich also lose something in incident, losing some time, losing 1 lap. Christian Noble back there as well. And Renato Grillo rounding out your field in your last 4 positions. Josh, first race of the week. Thought it was going to be a quiet one. And as you can see from that shot, it clearly was not.
I love Crandon for this reason. Calamity Corner heading right into a short straightaway before the start-finish line. I mean, that is what off-road is all about. Everybody watching at home right now, if your plans for the rest of the week are every day at 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern to watch Crandon, the Crandon Championship here on the iRacing Esports Network, start setting your alarms, set those reminders. You need to be here the rest of the week. We are just getting started, and it's going to be a lot more of that.
Yeah, you see a 2-wide finish that came down to a fender. Last year, our Super Session number 2 was a 3-wide finish that came down to a fender. This is not over by a long shot. We'll be back again tonight, obviously, at 9 p.m. Eastern time to show you the evening action. And then, as you said, Josh, all over again tomorrow, Friday, and then the big races on Saturday. You're going to see some heavy hitters from the dirt road community come out and try to either, if you're Dane Culver or Nicholas Ashley, defend their championships or try to be the next person to the top of the podium in that list Again, these races are going to be exactly the same throughout the week. 2 time slots every day, the same session format in every race, and then they'll be earning points to try to make it into those super sessions. It's not just the top split. I made a little bit of a mistake last year and was giving some false information early on. You can race all week. You can race just Saturday. It's just your seeding for those races. And obviously, with 20 spots, everybody wants to get in the broadcast split, Josh.
That is going to be the big fight, is everybody wanting to be in the top split for the super sessions on Saturday. But Keenan, we start as exciting as this. I hope we only get more exciting as we go through the course of the week. Here is your feature race, and Evan McFarland tried to get that same start that he got earlier, and the 5 just got turned and ended up into the wall. That was the 1 truck as well, but Dennis Mickelson redriving up to P6 was an insane drive throughout this feature race for all 10 laps.
Yeah, and again, we talked about it a little bit at the end of the heat, that we're not going to see those top 5 drivers really argue that much, but everyone from 5th on back was ready to have a fist fight. But even this race, too, you saw those top 3 beating and banging, and Crystal King and Evan McFarland. She waited, she bided her time, she tried to get the lead early on. It just wasn't meant to be, but that is not the last we'll see of Miss Crystal throughout the course of this week. Not the last we'll see of McFarland either. I'm sure he's stoked to be able to get that truck to the top of the podium. As somebody who's come from the rallycross world, he's been doing great things in the Pro 4 truck. As what a mess we had towards the back of the field.
And it just continued on in this mess over the course of all 10 laps, and they were trying to get it settled out. But if you're still in groups like this, later on you go in the race, the slider's only going to get more aggressive, the racing's only going to get more aggressive, and it's exactly what we saw. But King tried to get that slider done. She did out of Cowboy, trying to hold off Evan McFarland. Evan did the perfect move here. Got into the door, just slightly moved her out of the way, got clear into Calamity Corner, and then Crystal King trying to power up the inside, and the contact and the kind of luck of the draw there just didn't go Crystal's way. Evan McFarland had more momentum off the corner.
Yeah, it worked out for Evan, but there will be many more opportunities for Crystal, like we've touched on a little bit in the broadcast. She was all over the top steps of these of these races throughout the last week. She was leading the points coming into the super sessions. We've not seen the last of her. We've not seen the last of iRacing's Chris Leone, who unfortunately, with his staggeringly high rating of 2,600, did not make the top split. But I'm sure you had some fun there in second split, Chris.
There were a couple of drivers in my split who put the fun in dysfunctional, I've got to say. To your point, and to the thing that I said at the beginning, like, you can't just run people over in this. And there was one driver in my heat race who we had an amazing battle where we're trying different lines and we're basically putting down the exact same laps. And I'm like, I know I can't pass him without wrecking him, so I'm not going to pass him if I can't pass him clean. But unfortunately, so I had the number 4 on my truck, and if you saw the highlights from Crandon in June, you saw Keegan Kincaid win a race with another truck on the bed of his truck across the finish line. Well, I was running Keegan's number 4 in my split, and somebody decided they wanted to reenact that in turn 2 as opposed to over the finish line at the end of the race. So that didn't go great. Then they drove me off into a tractor tire, and so my rear axle got displaced, and you'd be proud of me. I basically did 8.5 laps of drifting through the entire race, and I barely lost any time through that. So that is a testament to the durability of these trucks. I couldn't catch anybody, obviously. They were all about a few seconds ahead of me, but it just goes to show you, kids, if the truck still drives, if the car still drives, if it's not throwing up a meatball flag and you're not interfering with other people's races, drive it out. Because a couple of laps later, then I saw the guy that got into me pulling off to the side of the road, and, that's always a karmic victory, right?
Especially in these short races, you just can't stop driving it.
Yeah, don't quit. Don't ever quit unless you get that meatball flag, unless you absolutely cannot drive it anymore. Drive it out. That is the number one thing that I would always say to everybody, because you never know what's going to happen. I had 5 trucks ahead of me, about 2.5-3 seconds for most of my race, and anything could have happened. One person could have messed up in one of the hairpins, taken 3 of them out, and I could have snuck back into the top 10. At the end, I did end up having a DQ that bumped me up a spot at the end of the race too. You just never know what's going to happen. If the truck will still drive, if you're not going to screw up anybody else's race by driving it, keep driving. Keep driving. Always keep driving.
Well, Chris, we'll talk to you a little bit more tomorrow morning when you're back in for your second race of the week. But no matter what split you're in, all these points are so important because we'll be able to figure out who will make those top 20 at the end of the Super Session on Saturday. Josh, your first time here for Crandon Championship. We walked away. We had a bit of a quiet heat race, well, for the top 5 at least, but you got treated to one of those special Crandon finishes.
And I think we're going to see that continue throughout the rest of the week. We got another race tonight, 2 tomorrow, 2 Friday, and then the Super Sessions on Saturday to end the week. It's just going to get even more exciting. Like I mentioned, if you're unfamiliar with off-road racing, you like what you saw, A, get on iRacing right now. Get in the Pro 2s, the Pro 2 Lights, and the Pro 4s and get to racing. And 2, schedule yourself to be here. If you're not here for the remainder of our prelims, be here for both Super Sessions on Saturday. It is only going to get more exciting from here.
Grab a cold beverage. We'll see you tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where the big boys and the big girls come out to play for our evening session at our Crandon Championship qualifiers here on Wednesday. For the behalf of all the iRacing team, everyone behind the booth, Cisco, Sean, yourself, Josh, Chris, obviously, thank you for joining us. My name has been Keenan Kuzin. We will be back tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where hopefully we see a lot more of this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We'll see you tonight for our second session here on the Crandon Championship.